Hi, everybody. This is Jack Benedict, and we're going to talk IUP baseball with Anthony Rebyanski, the head coach of the Crimson Hawks. And guess what? They've played some games in the spring. That's hard to do sometimes. First of all, Coach, you started off with a tournament that you had, a weekend, and that first weekend you did fairly well. Give me your recap of what you thought about the first weekend of play.
First weekend out, always a little rusty. Being from the north, not getting outside on your actual field, which we did get out a few times in the outfield. The dirt was a little soft. We didn't get to take ground balls on our infield or anything. But overall, I thought it was a very productive week down in Virginia. Saw some things from guys that were positive. Saw some things that we need to obviously work on. And that's what this part of the season is all about.
Sure.
Getting yourself ready for conference play. Our pitching, I thought, threw well enough to win some more ball games down there in Virginia. Offensively, it's early. That's I keep telling our guys. We met last night. I said, hey, don't stress upon the things that you can't control. We just need to make a few adjustments. It was great to get that first win over the week in Virginia.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. The guys were very, very, appreciative of that, and I know I was too. But overall, like I said, there's always going to be room for improvement. I stress to our guys to never be satisfied with what we have done so far, and they've taken liberty of accepting that and always expecting more out of not only themselves but our entire program as a whole.
Mm-hmm. That first weekend was in Hampton, Virginia, and you did manage to get your first win against a PSAC team, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Personally on that. You beat Bloomsburg, and you shut them out. Did you get the game ball?
They gave me the game
There
ball.
you
I
go.
can't really. It's as brown as this table, but it's like I said, a good feeling, a good monument part of my career, or monumental,
Yeah.
I guess, part of my career. And like I said, the guys have been very supportive on my end. And when I say supportive, I'm talking in regards to, as we discussed last time, with the open-mindedness and the energy level that they presented. I know, from the first weekend to the last weekend in Winston-Salem, there was a big difference as well. And we can obviously get into that here too. But, the roller coaster ride and the emotional ride of baseball came into effect that first weekend. And, there were some highs, there were some lows. And I want to say the second weekend in Winston-Salem, we kept it on an all-time high, which is very, very good to see. And I do think in regards to that and the play that we did have, now obviously the wins and losses weren't where we thought they would be or hoped, but even though there are a couple of losses in there in Winston-Salem, the energy level and the excitement level would have been as if we had a 4-game sweep.
Mm-hmm. You started out 3-6 so far this year. It's pretty tough to get going in the spring when you have, as you mentioned, haven't done things. You beat Winston-Salem in one of the games. What particular area did you see improvement from the first weekend of play to the second?
Our pitching was outstanding in Winston-Salem. Guys went out. We've made some adjustments, as I discussed before, with some things we've done with guys. Jeff Allen through first game, it did help that we scored 5 runs. I think we only had 1 or 2 hits in that first inning with some, hit batters and walks and errors and stuff on Winston-Salem's end. But to get up in that first game, 5 runs in that first inning, that sets the tone. And then obviously as a pitcher, you want to go out and throw 0 out at the bottom of the inning, and he did that. So our pitching all around did very, very well that weekend. Colin Klaus threw very well second game. Mike Klingsmith made 1 bad pitch in game 3, which, it happens. Our bullpen did a very good job. Brian Albert threw very well in game 4. So those aspects of pitching have gone up in the direction that we are hoping. Offensively, we're still a little off in some areas. We discussed last night, and potentially guys trying to do too much from time to time, and just to know how you are as a hitter, know who you are as a hitter. That's kind of been our theme in the last week or so. If you're a power guy, know you're a power guy and can drive the baseball. If you're a contact guy, know that you're a contact guy and do the job whenever you're at the plate that you have to get done.
Are you still dealing with, let's say, even I say minor things, it's not really minor, the batting order, position, battling for certain positions, because again, you're a first-year coach, you know some of these guys, others maybe you're not sure what they can do. How are you dealing with that?
Right, it's good to be competitive at each spot. That's a thing that I stressed in the fall. Having more than one guy at each spot creates energy, creates competitiveness between the players and amongst our team. There are some spots right now that are becoming very clear with who will be, conference weekends, who will play where. Others we're still up in the air, which is good because that means there's competitiveness between each of those spots yet. And I'm not going to say who's, in what spot locked in, but because it can change at any time. We don't want to say, hey, you're set at shortstop, because you get comfortable, and we don't want guys to get comfortable. We want them to play with a chip on their shoulder day in and day out, practice that way day in and day out. And these guys have done that, which is good. They haven't been complacent. They haven't stopped competing for those positions, which is good.
When you're recruiting and you're playing in an area such as Indiana or any place in Western Pennsylvania, how difficult is it when you're going after certain players in the high school ranks coming out different areas that they want to play right away. They want to play as many games as possible, and they're thinking always sunshine south. How tough is that recruiting?
Oh, it can be tough at times. I mean, the days of going to Florida have kind of come and gone, by the wayside. The Carolinas have been more, as we discussed, the trips that you take now, and you still do the spring break trips, which is good, and you're there to play baseball. You're getting the 70-degree days in the Carolinas over spring break now, which is good. You just don't have the beach, which a lot of people do enjoy going on that off day. But at the same time, you're there for one job, and it's to play. With the high school kids, they want to come in and compete right away, which is great. And we don't want high school kids to think that they are coming in not playing. We tell our guys every year, every spot is up for grabs. If you're a senior, you're competing for that spot. If you had a left field position, and there's a freshman out there, the better guy is going to get that spot. Mm-hmm. And it creates, again, that competitiveness between your team that we are trying to have come out even in game scenarios.
Mm-hmm. When we're looking at competition, the strength of the PSAC, whether it be teams east and or west, how do they compete? How do they compare with some of the teams that you're playing in the Virginia and the Carolina areas?
Winston-Salem is typically a regional ranked team. Going into that weekend, we told our guys, hey, you have a tough stretch coming up here with Winston-Salem, East Stroudsburg, Millersville, Mercier. It's, those 16 games could do a lot to you mentally. And as well as I do, baseball is a very emotional, mental kind of game.
Sure.
And they didn't fall into that category where they were going to let a known regional ranked team get to them. And like I said, I know we lost 3 games this past weekend out of 4, but they played as every game was a championship caliber game. The strength of the South is very good in my opinion. The PSAC is getting better each and every year with from recruiting to other teams. New teams getting into the top 4 each year, which is good to see. I do always like to say that the PSAC is one of the toughest conferences in the country, and I'll always think that because we usually have a team representing in the World Series. So, in comparison to the Southern schools, the big difference is that they have 15, 16, 20 games under their belt before we get down there. That's the hard part.
Sure.
So they're a little more of a well-oiled machine before we are, before we even get going. But we always compete. That's the biggest thing is competing with those guys, and then we've done that so far this year.
Is everything trying to kind of getting in the fold for you as a first-year coach? I know you're dealing with scheduling. You're dealing with everything. A lot of paperwork, things behind the scenes. Is it going to take a while to really come to the head where you feel a little more comfortable, and you can have more fun when the games are played?
Oh, well, it's always fun. This is the best job in the world, I always say. I just had a discussion with one of our guys last night. I said, you get up and you go to work and you smile every day because you know what your job is. I always said it would take about a year. Get yourself in for a year, get everything made up and set up the way that you hope to have it run, and then it should be smooth sailing on that end of everything. So. Again, right now it's a lot of new things from not only a student-athlete standpoint, but from our standpoint as a coaching staff. But it is getting easier each and every day, and we're going to keep going in the direction that we need to go to, administratively and athletically.
Yeah, there are more people that want to ask you for your time, such as something like this, or even beyond the media. just so many things that you have to assimilate. Well, let's hopefully you get some good weather. And, you know, you're going to be on the road for a while. You don't play home till what, March 25th,
March
I think,
25th
right?
against Mercyhurst.
Yeah. And, you know, if you can do well in the division, the overall record may not play as big a part. There are a lot of different variables that you can handle, aren't there?
Right. Yeah. I mean, out of our 50 game schedule right now, 45 of them are, you know, Atlantic region games. And, you know, you want to do as best you can in the Atlantic region games because they count just as much, in my opinion, as the conference games. But if, you know, it's two different seasons, so to speak. You have your regional season, then you have your conference season. So if we don't start off on the right foot there, we want to get off on the right foot in conference and get to our conference tournament.
Yeah. Do you prefer playing as many as 50 games?
It's tough. It's very, very challenging in the North being able to get all 50 in. But, you know, we'll usually in typical season, you'll get anywhere from 45 to the 50 in. We try to get as many as we can, and it only benefits our student athletes. You know, obviously, you keep them in class as much as you can as well. But on the field, that's how you're getting the guys that are, you know, that might not get as many at-bats or many as innings as they hope. That helps them get the innings and the at-bats that they want to get better for the upcoming years.
All right, let's get some good weather, get a couple of good wins. We'll talk with you in a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to talk IUP baseball every couple of weeks here. We'll bring you up to date with Coach Rabbi, and we hope you'll tune in and eventually get to play some home games. You'll get out to see this team play. Jack Benedict for the coach. We wish you Major League Day.